If you have been asking if healing is real,
stick around and find out that healing is for real, and we don't mean maybe. My name is Tony.
and I am Zane, and we are two witnesses and representatives
Of the miraculous gospel of healing. Hello, I am the BAM, Tony Myers.
And I am the boom. Zane Pierre. Coming to you again, live and direct, with another episode of the miraculous gospel of healing.
We're alive.
We are live.
All right. Zane, what are we talking about today?
Today we want to talk about a topic that I think is a topic, it's one of the foundational topics to the typical understanding of the average Christian today. I think most of the things that the average believer knows stands upon what we're going to talk about here today as a platform. And I think that what they also do is categorize their content according to this platform. They are compartmentalizing this content according to this platform. And this platform is what they understand the heart to be.
Ooh.
So today we're going to talk about what is the heart. Because your understanding of the heart, when we're speaking to those of you watching and listening, and Jesus' understanding of the heart, or the priest's understanding of the heart, or the apostles' understanding of the heart, is not exactly the same thing. So,
can I take a wild gander to most Christians? The heart is elusive and mystical and mysterious.
Yes. Just like the soul. Those are two components in Christianity. That is like smoke.
Very complex, hard to understand.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need. What was that one book that was out? The Heart. For those who are stupid. You remember them series of books?
Something 101 or something like that?
Yeah, it's like for the stupid people.
That's not it. And I know the phrase.
Yeah, do you know the phrase I'm thinking of, right?
Yeah. Right. I can't remember the phrase, but I know the phrase. Some of those books were like always yellow books.
Yeah, all them yellow books. Yeah. That's what I'm referring to.
Right. And that's what we're talking about here today. Because the idea of the heart, just like the soul, the heart and the soul, I think, are two concepts that believers have, that believers have no firm grasp on. They just treat it as though it's something that is there, something that the word that you adequately use is elusive. It's something that is there, and they're trying to actually use it, but they don't know what it is, and so they really don't know how to use it, and they don't know what it is. Right? And one of the things in particular that you hear a lot of believers say is, I need to take that head knowledge and make it heart knowledge. And that is something that the authors of the Bible, that is a strange statement for you to make there if you stand up in front of Paul. Like, you don't understand what you're talking about. What are you talking about? The head knowledge has become the heart knowledge. And this is because within the Western community, we need to actually acknowledge that the Greco-Roman society is based on Greeks' perspectives and Roman perspectives, and not ancient Israelite perspectives. Right? It's no different from perspectives that we have today that exist in that exist in tribes in Africa today. They have a different mindset. They have a different system of logic. They see things differently. they think of things differently, and we assume that our system of logic, a little bit of arrogance involved in it, but we assume that our system of logic is the logic of everybody that has ever existed, and then that gives you the right to be able to judge these people that exist, when really and truly you don't really understand how simple your logic is in comparison to civilizations that actually just their mere structure of alphabet was different. Like, for example, today our language has 26 letters, English. And the English letters is just symbols with a sound attached to it. Do you know that in Africa, there's a tribe in Africa that actually has a language that has 120 letters?
Wow.
120 sounds. Which means that they are using sounds that you can't even pronounce. Right? Minus 26, that make it over 96 sounds that they know that you and I would never fathom.
Right.
And they use that to communicate information. So think about a language that is communicating information through 96 more sounds. Wouldn't they be able to communicate information at least 4 to 5 times faster than you?
Yeah.
4 to 5 times faster than you. If we use that as a gauge for speed, they can communicate nuances in just one thing, while somebody had to spend in 2 minutes to communicate nuances that you might have to spend 2 hours to try to grasp.
Right.
Or even 3. And they understand it in 2 minutes. Boom. And they move in. And this is the reality of our culture. These are things that are not taught, because we assume that because the Bible is presented to us in English, we assume that our cultural understanding is applied to this. When it is a translation, it is a translation. A translator is somebody who tries to take the concept and really communicate it in words for you to really grasp what they have in their mind. But most of the translations that we have are not really translations per se. They're kind of very close to transliterations, which is where the information is communicated without expansion, so that you don't really understand what that person had in their mind when they said that. And this right here falls very squarely into this category.
And let me just kind of make this observation. Mm-hmm. The Western mindset is primarily concerned with the intellect.
Yes.
There are so what you have with what we're fixing to talk about, you have 2 things that are actually on the same level. You have got the intellect and the heart, and then they meet together, because when the signals are cohesive, that's when everything's functioning. Right. But the Western mindset views it as only the intellect is important.
Right.
But there's actually 2 different levels of what I want to call it, control.
Yeah.
Or information, 2 different levels of information. You've got the intellect, then you've got the emotions. The heart is the emotions, whereas the intellect, so you've got 2 different things. And then when they're operating cohesively together and they're communicating back and forth, that's when you have the truth coming out.
Right.
Does that make sense the way I explained it?
Yeah. There's and what you explained there, this is just to give even more context to what you're saying. What you explained there is something that I can safely say that is a conundrum or a predicament that exists only within Greco-Roman society. And here's why. And this, let me give you an example of what you're saying there, how it applies and how it's actually destructive to people, and how, and why rather, you read the Bible and you're stuck because of that same concept that Holy Brother Tony just talked about it. Have you ever realized that in Western culture, people assume that the more information that you memorize equals more intelligence? As a Western assumption, right? So much that people assume that when they go to school, or they go to college or university, and they study a career, that person is automatically acknowledged as somebody who is an intelligent individual. When really what they did was just, in some cases, they may have just spent years memorizing data. In some cases, they may learn to apply a different system of logic to a particular field. And so you can say that they're educated within this particular area, but that does not equal intelligence. One of the things that you see in our society today is that people can go to study law. I'm going to use law as an example. To become an attorney. They can even become a judge, a magistrate. And after the first heartbreak, they commit suicide. Because of what you just explained. And this is how it works. In the Western culture, we are taught that we have an intellect and we have the heart. In the Bible, that is a division that does not exist. Because in the Bible, I'll explain the Bible just now. In our culture, we have been taught that we have the intellect and we have the heart. From the biblical author's perspective, you have divided your spirit by yourself. Like you take one energy and you divided it and you've created two separate entities. And so within the culture, Western culture, we were taught that the intellect is more connected to the brain, primarily, at the risk of oversimplifying it. And we were taught then that the heart is a physical thing, but when we say heart, we're not talking about the physical thing, we're talking about something, right? That's making us feel emotions. And because of that, we have people that can go into university and memorize information because you're taught that that's your intellect. By your own division and compartmentalization of your own spirit, you've divided your spirit, and now you have your spirit at variance with each other. And so because of that, when you hear something that in your mind is contrary to what is in your heart, you feel confused. And because of this, the typical Western Christian doesn't know when God is speaking to them, because they have divided the spirit and they are taught that you can get information, which is where the intellect is, which is connected to the brain, and then you have the heart is involved. Now, because of that, people actually go on the study for years, sometimes 7 years, whether it's medicine or law or whatever, and they come out and everybody watch them as intelligent. But as soon as they find themselves in a problem in their marriage or in their relationship, they crumble, they fall, they even reach the point of manic depression and they want to take their life. Because what we have been taught is a perspective that is based on how our language is structured. One of the things that actually goes hand in hand with what Holy Brother Tony just highlighted there is that the philosophy of our language, which is not only English, but all languages that is actually born within the Greco-Roman world, you are taught by the language and by the society to live from a spectator's perspective, which means anything that you hear, you see it immediately as a spectator and it is outside of you. God in the sky. Love. Look at that. He or she is so romantic. Yeah? hate. Look at his attitude. All of these things are spectator perspectives. This right, just start with that there. Everything that you're reading about in the Bible, when it comes to God, does not work with the spectator perspective. It starts with the inner man perspective. Love, you have to be it to be able to talk about it. God, you have to be that to talk about that. The biblical authors, when you say love, that's something that they understand from within, based on what the culture is structured. We talk about the ancient Israelites here under Torah, under the Torah. When they say God, they're talking about God here. Yes, God is in the sky and God dwells in the temple, but God, they took on God's name. So when they say call upon God, they don't mean, oh God, no. They're actually talking about invoking God here, because they know that God is with them, right? If they're in covenantal conformance, of course. And this is where we need to make a departure, because we have made a separation that biblical authors know nothing about, and therefore you do not see them struggling with what you're struggling with.
Yep. We compartmentalize. You got the intellect over there, you got the heart over there, and the emotions are enemy. It's something that we want to push away instead of embrace.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what the Roman Greco mindset teaches. It actually teaches emotions are a bad thing, when actually, when you are cohesive and it's not compartmentalized, then that's when you walk in power, in strength, in the good things.
Bro, you put it nicely. This is where in our culture, in our civilization, we were taught to compartmentalize that. And as I rightfully said, we were taught that feelings oppose knowledge. And so the feelings opposing the intellect. And so Christians today genuinely believe that they have a heart problem. They need to remove from what is it? Is it the mind? We need to move from the mind and make it heart knowledge. Let me give you a wake-up call, you know. Let me give you a wake-up call here. The compartmentalization that we call compartmentalization, to somebody under the Torah, you are called a liar. Let me give that a moment of silence. And here's why. A liar is someone who treats what he's lying about in a separate compartment, independent of what he truly thinks and feels, what he knows to be true. So much that the Bible says, to the person who is to the righteous, integrity will guide them. What is integrity? Integrity here is being true to what you truly think and feel. Therefore, the person who is actually lying is the person that is no longer functioning from what they truly think and feel as one spirit. They have compartmentalized some information, and they're speaking to you from this information and not what they truly think and feel. In the Bible, that's called sin. I'm just saying. This is why believers in the Western world have a struggle understanding when Jesus or God is speaking to them. Because the Spirit is in the heart, which means it is coming from, the Spirit speaks to you through what you really think and what you really feel. It comes from your heart. And because your heart is, now I'm going to touch this component. Let's touch this component. I want to touch here in the next episode, bro. Sufficient for this episode is for you to understand that in the Bible, your heart and your spirit is one and the same thing. And in the ancient Hebrews, they had no knowledge or have no word to talk about your brain. They didn't even recognize that. They always spoke about your heart. And they spoke about someone who actually is living according to the heart. And Jesus actually said, in your heart of hearts. He even used that word, that term, the heart of hearts. Some translations don't follow that. But then they're also in the Bible that there's somebody that actually has a wicked heart. There's a person that's actually walking according to the heart, and then the person with the wicked heart. That's because in their culture, the heart and the spirit are one and the same. So where you see your heart in your chest, that has a function, yes, but they also see your heart as being connected to that. But the spirit that comes from that fills the entire body, which means you are heart in flesh. They don't compartmentalize. They see the same spirit, and what they identify, they watch the one spirit is like watching water and saying that's H2O, that's moisture, that's let's say fluid for hydration. That's different functions of the water. They're not compartmentalizing the water. They're talking about the different functions of the water, and that's what heart comes from, soul comes from, and all of the different perspectives that you have. All of those things, the same spirit, just different functions. The next episode, what we're going to talk about is how most believers, because of this understanding of compartmentalization, you can't hear from God because heart means thoughts that are one with feelings. Do you think about that? Make sense?
Right. That's what we're going to get into. And here's the problem, and that is why I cringe when they say we're a three-part. There's 3 parts. You got the body, you got the, what is it, body, spirit, and soul is what they say, right?
Yeah.
We are spirit.
That's Greek thoughts. We're going to start with that next episode. Don't worry, we're coming for them.
All right. Y'all ponder what we've talked about and pick your jaws up off the floor. And then next episode, we're going to delve a little bit deeper. We're taking this slowly. All right. Be blessed. Be healed. And be a blessing.
Boom.
And bam.